It is time for a brand new DC update. Let's find out what's been going on in the news. If you've been hiding under a rock and you just come to my channel for news and you haven't seen what's happened over the past 3 to 4 days, we had an atomic bomb go off in the entertainment industry. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what that bomb was. There was a big sale involving AT&T, Warner Media, and Discovery. We're going to talk about that. And after that, I'm going to talk about two brand new animated series that have just been announced by Warner Brothers and DC that are going to air on HBO Max and on also the Cartoon Network. So we're going to talk about the good and bad about that. So let's talk about the bomb that dropped first. It was announced out of the blue that AT&T was partnering, basically selling off to Discovery, and they were getting rid of Warner Media. Well, not getting rid of Warner Media, but they were selling their whole media assets. AT&T is a communications company, and they've considered it a failed experiment, bringing in the media companies. So they basically sold a lot of that stuff off to Discovery, who has Discovery Plus. They own all, and believe it or not, Discovery Plus is one of my favorite apps. I actually have a video here on my channel talking about, I have a whole series of Cutting the Cord, and Discovery Plus is my favorite of all the streaming apps. So they understand how to do things correctly on the streaming side with content and everything else. They don't do a whole lot of scripted TV shows or movies. We're going to find out how this all shakes up. But here's what ended up happening. And know that the guy who's been going to bat for DC fans, he basically hit upside the head with this. So Jason Kilar has been going to bat for DC fans, and he is probably going to be leaving. He is being replaced by a guy named David Zaslav. He is going to be coming in and taking over at Warner Brothers. Now, a lot of people see this as a good thing. I'm not as optimistic as everybody else, and I'll explain why here in a few minutes. But here's what I found out over the last couple of days, and there's still a lot going on. We don't know if Ann Sarnoff is going to stick around. We don't know what's happening with Toby Emmerich, and we don't know what's happening with Walter Hamada. The fan base is hoping that these guys get pushed out with this merger. Now, it's all basically owned. It's a partnership, okay? AT&T is going to own 70%. 77% of the shares, the other 23% is going to be owned by Discovery. One thing that did happen, though, is AT&T flat out sold off Warner Media directly to Discovery. So it doesn't sound like AT&T is going to have anything to do with Warner at all going forward. That would include HBO Max and anything with Warner Brothers going forward. I would love to see personally a DC studio come out of this, that where DC is its own thing. I just don't know how the contracts are set up. I don't know how they've divvied everything out. I don't know what the chances are of DC breaking away from Warner Brothers, but that's all now owned by Discovery. So that means regimes are changing for sure. And this is going to be a big change. Now, there's two sides to this. Some people say this gives us a glimmer of hope of bringing Zack Snyder's Justice, well, not his Justice League, but the Snyderverse back into fruition. I'm not as optimistic as those people because Zaslav has made comments in the past that Toby Emmerich is one of his good friends. He respects him. He's also made good comments, though, about DC and those properties. So it's one of those things where this could go either way. I'm hoping Discovery is open to discussions and seeing what's happened, because over in China now, Zack Snyder's Justice League has had over 400 million views. It is now by far the biggest streaming event that has ever happened over in China. And here we're still having, the restore the Snyderverse hashtag is still going on, that whole campaign. So we're going to see how this ends up. And I'll stay on top of this. I will be bringing news as big things come out, and there's a chunk to deliver to you guys. Stick around on my channel if you're not subscribed. Subscribe, because I'll be bringing all of the news to you as it happens and when something major goes on. Now, I didn't want to report on this at the very beginning because everybody was saying the same thing and the dust hasn't settled yet. So what we do know AT&T has 70%, 77% stake in the company. Discovery has 23%, and Warner Media has completely been sold off, branched off from AT&T, is now owned by Discovery. And we know that Zaslav is taking over as the head of Warner Media. Outside of that, everything is pure speculation. Jason Kilar is pretty much on his way out. It is reported that he is talking with lawyers to talk about his exit from the company, which is going to be a shame because he came to bat for the fans, at least as far as we know and what the reports say. I've heard things in the past that were not true, and we find these out years down the road. The whole thing with DC and what happened with the Justice League cut, the blame was left on some of the studio heads, but it ended up being some of the makers, like the filmmakers like Whedon and Jeff Johns himself, which surprised me when I found that stuff out when the narrative had been completely different. So we're going to see how that plays out in the coming weeks and the coming months. There could be some good things happening, but there could also be a complete shut off of what the fans are actually looking for. We'll see what happens. One thing I did want to mention is Superman and Lois did make its debut again yesterday. It is back on the air after having a hiatus because of COVID. So that is now airing. All right, let's talk about the 2 new animated series that were just announced. I'll leave a link to the article where I got this information, and it's been all over social media this morning. But one of them is called Batman. I believe it's the Caped Crusader, and it's bringing Bruce Timm back into the world of cartoons. And he's also going to be teaming with Matt Reeves and with J.J. Abrams to help produce that cartoon. It's going to be on HBO Max and on Cartoon Network. The other one is Superman, and I don't remember the name of it. I'd have to find the art. Well, actually, I've got the article right here. Let me look real quick, and I'll tell you what the name of it is. So it is Batman. Cape Crusader is the first one, and then the next one is going to be it's My Adventures with Superman, which is going to be basically a show that revolves around Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Clark Kent as they navigate their way through the Daily Planet. They are going full woke with this cartoon, though. I'm going to tell you right now, from what I've read, they are bringing in an American Asian Lois Lane, and we're going to have Jimmy Olsen. He is going to be black. So they are going full woke with the Superman series. I'm surprised they didn't use this opportunity to change Superman to black, because they've been talking about that movie. We're going to find out what's going on. There are definitely some questionable decisions that are being made. And, I'm surprised they're announcing this so quick after Warner Media has been sold because, as far as I see it, everything is now up in the air again. All the balls have been, things were starting to land on certain things happening. And now that it's been sold off and we've got new people in charge, all the balls seem to be back in the air again. So I wouldn't put anything set in stone. I think these 2 cartoons are coming. They were probably, if they're announcing them now, they were probably so far into production that they couldn't cancel them. So they're probably going to continue with that stuff. So we'll see what happens going forward with the new properties, the new movies, the Snyderverse and all of that stuff coming up. I'm sure all the movies that are currently in production are going to continue to be in production and will get released. But anything beyond that, anything new, we're going to see what happens. So there's my update for the week. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You will be notified as I have new videos go up. We'll see you guys on the next video.